and welcome to the first ever episode. It's really great to have you with us. And today I've got with me somebody I've been a big fan of for quite a long time, and our paths have crossed professionally previously, but I've never had a chance to sit down and have a chat with you, and I've been looking forward to this for so long. Today I've got with me Dean Michael from the legendary Black Lace. As many of you'll know, their great hits Superman, Agadoo,
Do the Conga.
Do the Conga.
Music Man.
Music Man. Yeah, all the greats.
All the greats.
All the greats. Yeah. And all the songs that put a smile on people's face.
Exactly. So that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Best party in town, you know.
Yeah, and that's exactly the reason that I became an entertainer, just because I just love seeing the smile on people's faces. And people who know me will know that a lot of what I do is children's entertainment, and your songs are just basically constantly on a loop in my head. So,
I think Agadoo's in everybody's head.
It is.
Once you hear it.
It
yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's one of them songs that's just, and it's universal as well.
Yeah.
It don't matter what country you go to, there's somebody who knows it.
All over the world. It's, everywhere you go in the world, you'll hear Agadoo or the Music Man, one of them, you know, one of the songs. Even on the cruise ships, you know, you go out on the cruise ships and go on a tender off to an island. And what's playing when you get on the island, on the barbecue? Agadoo.
Yeah. So we'll come back to that. We'll come back to all the stuff that people know about. But what I want to start off about talking with is where you started, basically. And I mean, your parents owned a working men's club, didn't they?
They did. I think that's where I got the enthusiasm of wanting to be an entertainer, because I used to watch the organist in them days. It was like an organist and drummer playing in the concert room, backing all the artists, visiting artists that came, and it was like I got the bug. You know, I was only about 7, 8 year old, and I got the bug to. I thought that's what I want to do when I leave school, and obviously I did. And yeah, they owned the working men's club over in Leicestershire. Before that, when I was 3 years old, apparently I used to sing in the street to all the neighbours, and they shout, "Dean, sing us a song, sing us a song." I sing one of the songs, you know, of the day, but. It's always been in my blood, because my father, he was a musician. He played the trumpet, and he was a great singer. You know, my daddy, he did like Perry Como, Matt Monroe, and all that type of songs. But I think it's in my blood, really, from my parents.
Yeah. So obviously from there, in 1968, you emigrated to Australia.
We did. The £10 Poms, we were called. A lot of the families in the 60s moved to Australia. All the immigration was, we wanted tradespeople out there, and my father was he was in heat treatment for the government, making tanks, you know, fighter tanks. So he was a specialist, and they wanted somebody out there that he could show everybody how to do this job. So that's how we ended up emigrating out to Australia. I met, that was my first TV show as a child actor as well. I'd done a thing called Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. I was only about 12, I think, at the time.
Wow.
Maybe 13-year-old, and we did this thing. My best friend at school was Gary Pankhurst, who played Sonny Hammond. He was the little guy with the kangaroo. And so I went every weekend with him to do, and I was like an extra. We're talking about that,
Oh, wow, yeah.
being an extra in Skippy. So that's how I got into TV.
Wow. And I mean, how old were you when you first went to Australia?
I'd be, I'm trying to work it out now, I'd be about 12, maybe 12, 13-year-old. Yeah.
What does that feel like at that age to be going to a country literally the other side of the world?
Well, to be honest, because my parents had the working men's club before that in Leicester, they were busy obviously running the club. So me and my brother we used to play upstairs or whatever we used to do. And we didn't really have a lot of friends because we were out away from everybody else. So we didn't really have a lot of friends there. We had a few family and that used to visit, but so it wasn't like we had to leave anything behind. The only thing that there was my grandparents. I remember leaving my grandparents behind, you know, because all my aunties and uncles, we all emigrated at the same time. So we all went to Australia to live, you know. And funny enough, 2 of them are still there now to this day. They stayed over there.
Yeah. Do you ever get a chance to go back over?
I've been a few times, yeah. But I was supposed to be doing I'm a Celebrity a few years ago now. I was really looking forward to going to Brisbane to do the show, and I was sort of a stand-in, if you like. You know, if somebody was ill or anything like that. So they flew me to Dubai, and I stayed in Dubai for 5 days. And then they phoned me up and said, "Oh, we don't need you, Dean. It's all right. We're going to send you back home." So I missed out on that. But last year it was in Wales, North Wales, in a castle.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to do last year because all the production team changed as well. So the people that wanted me to go on before all changed. I didn't went and had a meeting with them, but maybe I'll go on this year or next year or whatever.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, exciting. I suppose a bit of relief though, in the sense of that you're not having to eat bugs
I know,
for your dinner and things like that. How did you, when you thought there were a chance you'd be going into the jungle, how did you feel about that if you got nominated? Because let's face it, everyone with Great Britain's going to want to see you doing Agadoo, Welsh Trade to Eat a Spider or something like that.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I do. It's all for TV, isn't it? Makes good television and that, you know. And I don't suppose it's that bad if people survive it, don't they? So I've eaten worse things.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Dressing rooms, and, yeah, things like that. I can empathise there. So you came back to England, obviously, and thank God you did.
1970, I think it was. We came back. We were there just over 2 years. So it was 68 when we left to go live there. Stayed there for 2 years, and then we came back on. It was about March time, I think, of 1970. And then I went to do another TV programme called Junior Showtime for Yorkshire Television, and that was a good gig. Then a lot of stars came out of that show. There was Billy Pearce from Leeds.
Oh yeah.
Catherine Apanovich, Mark Curry.
Wow.
The Poole family, Glyn Poole. I'm going back a lot of years now, but to the early 70s. But that's when I got into the music, really, from leaving. Because in Australia, they're a year in front with their education.
Okay.
So when I came back to England, my last year of schooling, I'd already done it in Australia. So they said, if you get a job or you get one, you can leave because you've done all this. This is, you've learnt all this. So you're a year ahead. So, as it was, I was in a band and got a chance to go as a professional entertainer. So I went on the road at 15 years old, 16-year-old,
Wow.
and that's when I went on the road with the band.
Yeah.
So,
And then sort of Black Lace kind of happened, but it wasn't an overnight thing, was it? There was another band before.
there was
wasn't
a few bands before that. I was in a band called Splits. I was in a group called Clandestine Route, a 9-piece soul band.
Wow.
That was a great band. Was that
and,
one?
and back then, a 9-piece soul band on the road.
Some of the stories I could tell you about that. We could do a programme on that. But we had some great times, and I ended up before Black Lace. I was in various bands, Splits, Crushed Velvet, which my dad managed. So we were like a Shadows tribute band. We used to play all the guitars, and that was a good band. So it was like my apprenticeship, I suppose, if you like, doing all the working men's clubs, going off to do 10-day runs here, 10-day runs there, Scotland, Wales, all over the place. North East, we'd go do 10 days in the working men's clubs, and that's where you learnt your trade. You've got to be good, otherwise they'd boo you off,
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, then just before Black Lace, I was in Tiffany's in Leeds, in the Mecca, and I was in the house band there as the front man, singing with the band called Freeway.
A lot of people from Leeds will have some stories to tell.
Oh, they will.
Well, certainly before my time, but my parents have told me some stories about Tiffany's.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a legendary place among a certain generation, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. No, it's a fabulous place. Great training.
Yeah.
Great for doing live work.
So then, I'm fascinated by the story of how you became a member of Black Lace, because you actually joined Black Lace when they were at the sort of height of the fame, really. They were number 2 in the charts at the time.
Exactly.
Was that with Agadoo?
It was done Superman already. That was 82. Agadoo was 84, 85. Then the Conga, then we had the Okie Kokie, Wigwam Bam, the Music Man.
I'm going to start breaking my magic tricks I'm doing a set, getting me in the party mood.
We had about seven hit singles and 3 platinum albums, so we did well out of it, really.
So just tell us a little bit about how you came to join a band that's number 2 in the charts, because that's kind of what everybody dreams of.
Well, Alan Barton, God rest his soul, he died in a coach crash many years ago now, in the 90s in Germany. And Alan and I had been friends from leaving school from the days of when I came back from Australia. We were in different bands at the time, and Alan had left, one of their bands had split up, I think they were called Love or Confusion, and he was in between bands. And our band, the Clandestine Route band, the soul band that I was telling you about, the guitarist walked out, and we needed a guitarist. So they said, your mate Alan's not working, is it, at the minute? So I said, no, he's just in between bands, we're getting this new band together. Do you think he'll join us? So I said, well, I'll phone him up and ask if he'll join. Phoned him up, said, Alan, I've got a job for you if you want it, Clandestine Route. Oh, brilliant, he said, fantastic. How long is it? I said, probably for about 6 months while I get a regular one, you know, because I know you're going to be doing Black Lace. So he said, when do you want me to start? I said, tomorrow. We've got a gig tomorrow night.
Wow.
So I stayed up all night going through the show with him, showing him all the chords and everything on the guitar. And we stayed up and we did the gig on the Saturday night in a club in Hull, I think it was, or somewhere. Anyway, he was with us for 6 months, and then we got a regular guitarist. So that was that, and then years went by, and then, as you know, when I joined Black Lace, then Alan phoned me, and he said, Dene, I've got a job for you. So I said, what is it? He said, me and Colin have had a bit of a fallout, and I need somebody to replace him. So I said, fantastic, because we're in the charts and everything. So I said, when do you want me to start? He said, tomorrow.
Payback.
we're top of the bill at Wakefield Theatre Club tomorrow
wow.
night. So I had to stay up all night and learn all the show for,
Wow.
you know, it worked the table. So that was quite an interesting story, quite a good story.
And then kind of this whirlwind happened, didn't it? That you're now in a band that's #2 in the charts. You're touring everywhere that you can possibly tour.
All over the world.
What did that feel like?
It was like winning the polls, really, because I'd gone in the studio as well to do another album, because it had been that successful, and because I joined, they wanted me on the next album. So we spent 6 months in the studio recording this album, which came the following year. But in between that, I'd done quite a few TV shows with them. We did Des O'Connor, we did Wogan and all that, you know, all the big shows at the time. And then we did adverts, we've done, we did Spit and Image. They made puppets of us. That was amazing.
That's got to be a surreal feeling.
Well, they say if you've been on Top of the Pops or you've been on Spit and Image and they've made a puppet of you, you're there, you've made it. So they did the Chicken Song of Us. That was a Mickey take of Black Lace. The two wet gits with the girly curly hair, you know, because we had the mullet hairstyles. So that song was made and they made puppets of us and everything off for the video. So that was another thing that was good. And then touring, like you said, we toured all over the world. We went to Germany, Europe, everywhere, doing all the big concerts. Wow. So we were very, very lucky there.
Yeah. Was there any kind of apprehension though? I mean, you join a band that's #2 in the charts and is world famous. Was there any kind of, just to get into sort of mindset for a little while, how did that feel in your own head to know that you were sort of putting yourself into that world? Because for a lot of people, that's their idea of a nightmare.
Well, I'd had all this training before, you know, with the bands I'd been touring with, and that was worse than having to do what I did in Black Lace, because people knew who you were in Black Lace because they'd seen you on TV and everything, so they knew what they were coming to the concerts. Where when they put a band in a working men's club, nobody's probably heard of you. Well, there were these splits, who's Clandestine Route, never heard of them, but we'll go and watch them anyway. And then you've got to be good to get their attention, you know. Where with Black Lace, people know who they are and what they're going to expect. They're going to expect it to be a party. Yeah. And that's what you get.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when you're on tour, a lot of the people who are going to be watching this are going to have done some kind of tour work at some point, whether that's be for work, in entertainment or anything like that. How do you deal with the kind of stress of that? Because there is a lot of stress in being on stage. There's a lot of work that people don't see.
Living out of a suitcase as well. Yeah, you always have a suitcase packed, you know. Yeah. I remember one instance, we'd done some TV and we'd been over to America, and our management, John Wagstaff, he just said, always have a backpack, be ready for if you get called out to do anything special. And this particular day, he phoned us up, I think it was a Wednesday evening, at home. We was in our houses in Yorkshire. And John phoned, he said, I've got your gig, you're in America tomorrow, you're flying to America, to Disneyland. And we thought, oh, fantastic, we'd never been to Disneyland, you know, I'm going back to the 80s now. And So he said, hey, yeah, we're okay, got everything packed, we've got the overnight bag and everything. So he said, right, get yourselves down to Heathrow, get on the plane, a car will pick you up from the other end and take you and do what you have to do. And it was a TV show in Disneyland, and it was just two songs. I think it was Superman and Agadoo or whatever songs we had at the time. So we flew out, got this plane, dropped us off, the car picked us up, took us through the customs and everything. Off we went, got to Disneyland, and then they said to us, oh, hi guys, there's like a green room where that's the way your makeup is and your costumes and everything. We just want you to do a quick rehearsal with the cameras for the show. So we did, and they said, right, we're just going to give you coffee and some sandwiches. Oh, thank you. And we had that, did the thing, two takes we did it in. And then we said, right, can we go around the park now? What's happening now? Can we... And they went, no, you're going back to the airport. I said, you're joking. No, you've got to go back. Your management's got another thing that you want to do in England now. So
you didn't even
we didn't even see anything at Disneyland.
You didn't even get a high five from Mickey Mouse.
No. Although he was on the show, they were around dancing with us, and that, but we never got to actually meet them because we were whizzed back into the car and back to the airport.
I'm sure Mickey Mouse were heartbroken. I'm glad you mentioned planes, because there's a little thing, I know we can't talk about it too much, because it's going to be in something you've got coming up.
Book, yeah,
you've got a book coming up, which I'm really excited about, and I know you've already said you'll come back and talk to us when the book's out, but I know you said we can touch on it a little bit. You survived a plane crash.
I did. It was
shock horror, you did actually survive it. I don't want to be a spoiler alert in there, you know.
Well, obviously I survived, but the thing was, it was in America again. It was always in America for some reason, I don't know why, but it was in America. I was going on an inland flight from Minneapolis to New York, I think it was, and I'd got about 10 minutes up into the air, and all of a sudden there was this like explosion. And I looked outside and all the wing was on fire, all the engine had set on fire. And it was all like a fireball coming down the side of the plane. And there was myself and my ex-wife, and we were sat there and we're just holding hands, and we thought, any time now it's just going to explode. You know, it's frightening, really frightening. And unbeknown to us, they didn't do much over the tannoy because the pilot was busy doing whatever he's to do. But it's quite a modern plane, and if there is an engine on fire, it's got extinguishers that can put the fire out while you're in the air. So but nobody knew this, we were just expecting to be blown up. But what he had to do was go over the sea, dump all the fuel, and then do a crash, because all the engine was out. It had gone by this time, it had burnt out and everything, so it was on one engine, or two engines or whatever it do. But it was like this, the plane was, rocketing. Oh, wow. So when we went back to the airport to land it, it was like I say, coming in like that, and the chutes came out, and it was down the chutes and everything. It's really, really hairy, frightening things. But the plane that I was on was full when this happened, and they brought another plane to take us to where we were going, to New York. Because I think I was going from there to Amsterdam, and it was like connection flights. And there was about 7 people they wouldn't go on again. That was it. They said we're not going on, but I had to go because I've got another gig to go to. So
how did you feel getting on another plane?
Nervous, straight away.
Has it always played in your mind ever since? Because you still go all over the world.
Frightening, yeah.
I
don't like flying.
No.
But you've got to do it, like you say, for your job. Yeah.
So you've survived a plane crash. You've been in a hit band. You've toured all over the world, and you've also been in a hit film.
I have, British Bob too.
Yeah, exactly. Now I can't make any quotes from most of the film, especially not my favourite quote.
No.
Probably the same as everybody's favourite quote from the film.
It was a cult film that was made in the 80s in Thatcher's Britain. It was Thatcher's Britain, and you won't get away with what they put in the film nowadays. It's not politically correct, is it? But yeah, it's a cult film. If anybody's not seen it, then go and have a look, because it's a great film.
What were it like making it?
Oh, we were only there for one day. It was the last day of filming.
Yeah.
And what had happened again, because with the party band, they booked us to be in the film. We actually was commissioned to write the gangbang song as well at the end, and the music for it. So we'd done all that, but because it was our last day of filming, all the production team and the crew and the actors and the extras all had this massive party. So what did they do? Booked us for the party afterwards when they finished. So that was it. So they hired this club in Bradford where we filmed the scene that we were in, And then as I did the wrap, then it was a wrap party, and we all went back to the hotels, got changed, came back and came to a Black Lace gig, and we did the whole night for him. So it was great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unlike some of the guests that I'm going to be talking to, which are going to be, there's going to be some business people and things like that, you've been through the whole thing of having press attention on you for various reasons. And I know some of the reasons we can't talk about because they're in the book.
Yeah.
And your publishers don't want us talking about that just yet. But
Just
we'll
yet.
we'll come back
we'll
to
cover that later. Yeah.
We'll do that when we come
we're
back.
allowed to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure a lot of people will be fascinated to hear. How do you cope with that when there's cameras pretty much watching you every move?
Well, I do. I mean, it's even when you go to the shop. If you go if you need some bread or milk or whatever, you can't just go to the shop. You've got to have a shave and you've got to do your hair and look, because you can't look like a scruff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going to the shop, so you're aware of people watching you all the time. It's like I said to you before, but off air we did. I did a program on ITV last week, a week before last, called £1 Million Pawn Shop. It was where you sell items of jewellery or whatever, And I'd sold one of my watches, and on this programme, it was a national one, national TV, big viewing figures. And I'd gone out to the bank thing to get some cash out the bank. My car needed an MOT, so I had to pay for the MOT. So as I'm at the bank thing, I could feel this chap behind me, and I thought, he's going to rob me, this man. It was, when you can feel somebody watching. And I've got my money out of the machine, and I've just put my money in my pocket, and I'm ready. I thought, he's going to try and rob me. Anyway, as I walked away from the bank machine, this guy come, and he went to me, "You haven't got any watches for sale, bud, have you?" He'd obviously seen me on the programme the night before, but you have to be aware all the time, all the time. But,
absolutely.
Not so much nowadays. They're not so bothered, but they do. They're watching you all the time. Every move. So
how does that work in your mind, though? Does it ever feel like you're a little bit trapped, or
you get used to it? I suppose it's part of the job. It's part of being a celebrity, if you like. That's what to expect. People. I'm always nice with people everywhere I go. I'm always, never change.
Yeah.
My parents brought me up to say that. Said, "No, Dean, no matter how big you get, or you're always the same as everybody else. You're not no better than anybody else. You've just been lucky. You've had a bit of a break, but always keep your feet on the ground." And I've always had that in my mind all the time.
Yeah.
But that's the type of person I am anyway.
Yeah.
It's the way I've been brought up.
Yeah. Does it get to a point? Did it ever get to a point for you where you ever resented the fame? Because for a lot of people, it did. Like you hear about Keith Harrison Orville, and one night allegedly he attacked Orville because he just resented the fact that that's what had put him in that spot. And you hear about it with people who are famous who they get to a point where sometimes, understandably, they resent it. And I mean, the big thing at the minute with the royal family. Again, the press intrusion into the lives and things like that. Did you ever get to that stage where you resented it?
Not really. I don't think we were really that big, like say royalty and things like that. I know we were famous, but we were never that famous that people knew us like the Wurzels, I suppose, or Chaz and Dave. We're not not an Elton John or a Celine Dion or whatever. But big names like that. But we were sort of bubbling under all the time, and we're still a household name now. If you mention Black Lace, people know who you are. Or if they don't know who Black Lace is, just say Agadoo, and they all know you
instantly. The number of people that I've had, comments when I've posted online about the show, and that you're going to be the first guest.
Oh, brilliant!
The number of people that I just won't expect. I've got Black Lace, brilliant. Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that?
Yeah.
But I mean, you mentioned there about the pawn shop and pawning a Rolex watch that was apparently worth about £4,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've gone from sort of in the 80s and 90s having you had at one point multiple houses. We were talking earlier. You had a boat, you had a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, and it quickly goes away, don't it?
It does. It doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
And divorces and things, ex-wives.
I'm not going to comment on that, but
it doesn't last forever. I mean, and to keep that lifestyle, you've got to be earning the money.
Yeah.
And it just obviously with lockdown and everything. My last gig was 6th of March last year.
Yeah.
So over a year I've not earned any money. Other bits and pieces or what things you sell off or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why I went on the programme to sell the
yeah.
watch, get some money in to pay the bills.
How does it feel when you get to a point where you've lived that kind of celebrity lifestyle and then it's gone? Because it can happen really quickly, and I don't know how quickly it happened for you, but it can happen really quickly that you go from, on top of the world, having everything, to suddenly, where's the, how am I going to pay the next month's rent or something?
Well, luckily we've carried on. We've been popular enough to carry on with the gigs, which again we'll start again this year. We do all of the 80s rock festivals, Let's Rock the 80s festivals. So we've got that coming up. We've got the Butlins Weekenders, the Ponties Weekenders. We've got Jersey Festival, Isle of Wight Festival. So all those are in the book. It's just a matter of if we can do it or not. I've got the odd things solo coming up, bits and pieces. I'm going to America soon to record in Nashville.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to that. With a song which I'm going to play for you a little bit later on. I'll play a little bit of the thing. Wow. And the producers produced Pink, the lady.
Oh wow,
Pink.
Okay.
So I'm working with her team. So
wow, what does that feel like? Knowing
it's wonderful because my friend Paul, who's on the radio show with me from True Radio on the weekends, Paul Hughes, he's got me involved with his recordings and everything over in Nashville, so I'm going to become part of that as well. So.
Hi John, I'd just like to tell you what happened in lockdown. On the beginning of lockdown, I started working at Green Car. Then on the 12th of January, I met a lad called Oliver. He was online too, doing beetroot with me at Green Car. Then things went on, progressed, and then he said to me he liked me. I was like, okay, that's fine. And I started going around to his house to the point where his mother would say, oh, be back at 6:30 for your tea. Then on the 8th of February, he asked me out, and we've been together nearly a month, well, over a month now. We also got a little dog called Poppy. She's a Shih Tzu. She's tiny though. Let's give me a second, I'll show you a picture of her. Poppy. This is her, she's our little dog. Then I got a cousin, Alicia May, on 24th of June last year. Then I'm just in the middle of decorating a bedroom into a bigger bedroom because, lockdown's getting to me and there's not actually to do in the house now because all work's done. So, thank you.
Hi there. So, where can I start? My name's Jay Morgan. I'm from West Yorkshire in the UK. I started singing at the age of 15-year-old, and I've been singing all the way through my teen years. When I was 21, I started a busking career with a three-piece band called the Three Busketeers, and then after so long, about 2 or 3 years later, I was introduced to another band that did Havens, Butlins, working men's clubs all the way across the UK. So I joined them. Something happened in 2020 during pandemic. I got COVID-19, and after a few months of suffering, not being able to breathe and stuff, something happened, and I grabbed a piece of paper and I wrote some lyrics on a piece of paper, and now there's a song called Come Back Home. I wrote Come Back Home in about 10 minutes, and I could not believe how amazing the song turned out. I released Come Back Home, that was my own song. I could not believe it, that finally I had my own music out. So when I released Come Back Home, this song was about, basically being away with my missus in a hotel rooms, making sure that she always come back from work safe and sound. And in the verse and in the chorus, especially the chorus, it says, the dinner will be on, the bed will be made, the bath will be run. And that was the only 3 things that I used to do when she come home from work, because not all the time we was in hotel rooms. Sometimes we would rent out houses and be there for months at times. So yeah, I started writing about things that I would be doing for my missus every single day. So Come Back Home was created, and it was a really good success. When I released Come Back Home last year, I released it on my nana's 85th birthday. So there were a thing years ago where I used to say to her, I'll always one day be able to say, Nana, here's my own songs. She always had a little giggle about it and thought that I'd never have my own music out ever, you know, because I told her I could not write my own lyrics. But after the COVID-19, you know, and everything like that, something happened and now I've got my own song out. So I released Come Back Home on my nana's 85th birthday. She absolutely loves it and she's so proud of me, and that made me just feel amazing to just have that ability to be able to say, I've got my own songs out. I am a recording artist, finally.
Hi guys, it's Tom from Escapable Escape Rooms in Ossett. I just wanted to kind of run through what's happened over the last 12 months with us, really. It's been a strange time. We were due to open the business in March 2020. So I came from a background of being a magician, of all things, and just fancied a change. I was still doing the magic as well, but I fancied a change, so I decided to open an escape room, as you do. Now, the thing is, I couldn't foresee obviously what was going to happen. Due to open in March, 2 weeks later, we go into lockdown. Now, that might seem like a bit of a negative, which initially I thought it was as well. But the next sort of 4 to 5 months were the most amazing experience, really, because we learned so much about the business, I suppose, before we actually opened, which we wouldn't have had that time to do. And it allowed us to diversify a little bit. So kind of August time, we managed to open our doors only for a couple of months before obviously restrictions changed. So at least we got a feel for one of the rooms. We then, after that, started building the second room again with the extra time that we had. We managed to get ahead a little bit. And then something interesting happened is we took one of the rooms and we put it online, which I never imagined would have been a thing. But the idea was that you had somebody in the room as your avatar and you guide them around the room, and that's how you eventually solve the puzzles and hopefully escape the room. And it was great. We had such a good response from it. And I think probably moving forward as well, it's going to help us expand internationally as well. Because even though online rooms weren't really a thing before lockdown, I would play online rooms now, as I'm sure lots of other people would. So it allows you to connect with people all over the world. We had people from New York come and do the room, people from Germany, from Spain, Ireland. We had all different places, and they probably wouldn't have ever been physically able to come and do the room. But via the magic of lockdown, we were forced into coming up with some sort of way of doing it. So I would say it's been quite a good little help for us, really. It'd be, obviously, don't get me wrong, it'd be nice to open back up again, and we can't wait to get people back through the doors again. But, you know, every cloud has a silver lining. I suppose ours is teaching us how to diversify online. So it's been good. It's been all right. And hopefully we get to see you all come down to the escape rooms at some point. So check us out. It's escapable.co.uk, and you can find us on Facebook as well. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
So we're just seeing a couple of great positive stories there, which are absolutely fantastic. And the last one we saw was Tom, who's just launched Escapable, an escape rooms in Ossett, and he launched it 2 weeks before lockdown. So great timing on that. Tom, just tell us a little bit about the escape rooms first and about your experience.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a strange one. As I say, we decided to open an escape room at the beginning of March. It got delayed slightly, and then there was the announcement of lockdown. So we went from having the whole building, the first room was pretty much ready to go, to being told that we won't be able to open for an indefinite amount of time. Obviously, that ended up resulting in the doors officially being opened in August, I think it was. So we had quite a wait before we were able to get anybody to physically come in. To be completely honest with you, it actually worked quite in our favour, because it allowed us to build the second and make a start on the third room as well, which got us ahead of schedule, which obviously that wasn't really a planned thing. We were supposed to take one room at a time and build that way. So I would say it actually worked in our favour in that respect. But it was just I just fancied a change, to be honest with you. I've been a magician since I was 15. The only job I'd ever done was being a magician. But I gigged all over the world, really, and done cruises and fly out shows, worked abroad. And then I had a little boy. I wanted to be at home with him a little bit more, so I wanted something a little bit more secure. And it just so happened I've done 75 escape rooms in the space of about 2 months. Call it an obsession, if you will. And that was it, really. It was a very easy option as to where I wanted to go next. So that was kind of the path, so to speak.
So for those who don't know, just tell us a little bit about what an escape room actually is, because it does sound quite sinister.
Yeah, it does a little bit. Yeah, we put people in the room and then that's it. We just lock them away, and I've got a nice collection of people now, which is good.
I can name a couple of people I can sing to you.
The concept is basically there is a bit of a weird preconceived idea that it is something that's perhaps not as pleasant, but it's quite the opposite, really. Usually rooms have a theme, so we have at the moment we have a Titanic theme. We also have a Back to the Future theme. We've also got a Houdini kind of magic theme coming as well. All the props are related to that particular thing. There's a story based on, each theme as well. And the idea is that you solve different puzzles. For example, in the Titanic room, you are locked in the guard's room because you've supposedly stolen the heart of the ocean, which is the rare and famous diamond on board. And the team have got to help you find the heart of the ocean and get you free. So they'll solve puzzles to try and get into the drawers and the cupboards and things like that, and unearth the story, basically. And hopefully then, get you to some sort of safety.
What about you, Dene? But this sounds like a lot of fun. Shall we pop over?
Sounds a lot of fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know what? It's something a little bit different as well. The escape rooms probably started about 9 years ago, and they've just rocketed in the last 2 or 3 years, particularly because people are just looking for different things to do as well nowadays. It's nice to do one before you go on a night out, or as part of a team building type thing. There's lots of sort of scope where it fits. So we've been quite fortunate, I suppose, to open when we have done, because we're on the upward curve, I feel, at the moment.
There is a feeling that we're slowly getting there. So just tell us a little bit then about how it felt when that announcement was made. We were going into a lockdown, and you kind of had this business sat there that you just invested presumably a substantial amount of money into, and now you can't open it. How did that sort of play out in your mind?
It was it's hard to explain, really, because it was doubly weird in that, being a magician as well, that business had gone. So in the short space of time, not only did the escape room not open, but also all the magic gigs got pulled. So you end up sort of going from having quite a busy schedule, really, with an even busier future planned, to nothing. And just complete shock, really, of, oh man, what are you supposed to do now? But as I say, it was adapting, I think, as best you can. So doing some bits online, that was one of the biggest things. I started doing magic stuff online as well, but then the escape room actually started to go online. So we do it as like an avatar style. So people log on to Zoom, and I'm in the physical room itself with a camera, and they direct me around the room and ask me to open things, to check things, and so on and so forth. They have like a little inventory system as well. So it's like playing the real room, but online. And that was a bit of a turning point, really, because when you've been given that news that you can't open, you've got to think on your feet, and you've got to start coming up with something that's going to keep your business alive and your bills paid, ultimately,
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's amazing to hear that despite everything, you're still managing to get some things done. And I mean, there's some people who'd pay you a really good amount of money to lock me away. So I'll tell you what, how about when you can reopen, we'll come over and sort of show people around the escape rooms and maybe have a go in one or two of them myself. I've got two very eager faces behind the camera, Alan and Grant, who look like they're well up for that. And, you know, we may even get Mr. Agadoo himself over.
I'd love that. Yeah, I'd love to have you all over. We can do a little escape room afternoon, and you can try them all out and see what you think.
What do we think, guys? Are we up for that?
Sounds like fun.
That does sound like fun, don't it? Fantastic. Tom, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It's been great to have you with us. I hope you can open really soon. I really do wish you every success with it. And as soon as we can come and see you, we will do.
That's lovely. That's very kind of you to say, John. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. Tom from Escapable.
Cheers.
So, it's been really good to have you with us, Dean.
It's been a pleasure. It's been my pleasure.
Very brave to come on the show for the first episode, especially when no one really knows what it's going to be about, including in some ways me. And it's been great to talk to you and to finally meet you in person. I know we've talked quite a lot online. And you mentioned you're going to do a song for us.
I'm going to do a song, yeah, Me and Ever, and it's on the old guitar here, the acoustic.
Fantastic.
So I'll do a few bars of that for you.
Brilliant.
And then I'll look forward to coming in again when my book's out later on in the year.
I can't wait to have you in again to discuss that, because I know there's some stuff in there that I am dying to talk about.
Some great stories.
There's a couple of stories that I've seen online that I'm dying to ask you whether they actually happened or not.
No problem.
Because they're published in a couple of newspapers where, you know, you go, well,
Is it true?
okay.
Yeah. Well, I can confirm all that with you once the book's out and everything.
So yeah, we'll look forward to that, and thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. Good luck with it all.
Thank you very much.
Keep safe. May you never lay your head down without a hand to hold. May you never make your bed out in the cold. Oh, you're just like a big strong brother to me, and you know that I love you true. You never won't put it behind my back. You know that there's those that do. So please, won't you bear it in mind? Love is a lesson we've learned in our time. Please, won't you bear it in mind for me? May you never lay your head down without a hand to hold. May you never make a bed out in the cold. You're just like a big strong sister to me, and you know that I love you true. You hold no plate to stab me in my back. You know that there's those that do. So please, won't you bear it in mind? Love is a lesson we've learned in our time. Please, won't you bear it in mind for me? So please, won't you bear it in mind for me? So please, won't you bear it in mind for me?
So a big thank you to my guest, Dean Michael from Black Lace, and also a big thank you to the team here at J&S Streaming Studios. Do join me in the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe.